welcome back to Blue Flag Bandits, the series that drives F1's worst car since 2010, so you don't have to. In what is normally the desperate hunt for points through the Codemasters games. I say usually the desperate hunt for points, but as you can see, we have 33 points on the board as we head to Suzuka and the Japanese Grand Prix, and that's down to two incredibly unlikely podium finishes. One way back at round 2 or 3 in Malaysia. The other one in the last round at Singapore. Now, if you've not watched the last episode, pause here, go back, watch it. I'll wait. Good, you're back. Yeah, it was carnage, right? 24 started, 2 drivers were disqualified, 20 drivers retired, and we finished a lap down in second to the only other car on circuit, which was Nico Rosberg. Twice we were put onto soft tyres on a wet track, even though we'd asked for intermediate tyres. We survived, I think, 3, maybe 4 front wings, avoided a spinning Caterham, were put back on track at least twice by the game after going off under safety car, and we came home a lap down, but in P2. That means, as you can see, we're level with Daniel Ricciardo in our driver rivalry, and this is what it looks like to the standings. We jumped back up to 14th ahead of Nico Hülkenberg, and now 10 points behind Kamui Kobayashi. We maybe have done enough to stay ahead of the likes of Hülkenberg, Ricciardo, Verne, De Resta, and Senna, who's in 19th. May have before the end of the season. At the top end of things, nothing really changed. Alonso continued to lead. Hamilton did get some points out of that race, as did Mark Webber, I think, because they were retirees 3rd to 10th. How it worked out, I have no idea. Shouldn't have really got points for DNFing, but there we go. So they maintained position. Button was 4th before that race and remains 4th now. Vettel there in 5th. Rosberg moves up to 6th after his victory, ahead of Raikkonen and Grosjean. Maldonado and Massa stay 9th, 10th, and it's Schumacher, Perez, Kobayashi, us now in 14th, ahead of Hulk, Ricciardo, Verne, De Resta, and Senna, the only other point scorers. And then point scorers, Kovalainen, Peak, Petrov, De La Rosa, Glock, and Kartikeyan, who shows up in the post-race standings. De La Rosa had been in front of both Caterhams, but both Marussias, but has now fallen further down the order after getting disqualified with Jenson Button in Singapore. In the constructors, it's McLaren still ahead, but now of Red Bull rather than Ferrari, who overtook them there. Ferrari only a few points back, but it looks like McLaren might be on the cusp of claiming the title. Lotus in 4th ahead of Mercedes, and it's Sauber, Williams. We jumped from 10th back to 8th, which is where we spent a large portion of this season. We're 11 clear of Toro Rosso, 12 clear of Force India. That one might be more difficult to hold on to, although Toro Rosso and Force India have only really been picking up the occasional points for most of this season. Caterham and Russia at the back with 0 points. And as I said, we come into the Japanese Grand Prix after an incredible P2. A P2 we shouldn't have had. Whatever happened with the AI in Singapore is unlikely to happen again, but it was a similar story in Malaysia when they all pitted at the end of lap 1. Got to take these opportunities where we can get them, and yeah, sure, I could have restarted that race, but I feel like it would have been the same amount of carnage regardless. Just because of mixed conditions at Singapore, the game seemingly couldn't cope with it. Fun to watch, I'm sure, but those last sort of 10 laps, just second place with only one other car on track and not quick enough to catch. Fairly dull going for me. Japan, though, is unlikely to be the same. I struggle at Suzuka even to this day. It's just a circuit I can't quite get in the rhythm of. But right now, I'm confident that we could have a good race just because of what we've come off from Singapore. I really hope that's going to be the case here, but we really need to go get practicing Suzuka. The pre-LiDAR scanned Suzuka, very pre-LiDAR scanned, and hope that we can get a good rhythm going early. So let's head to practice. What we do, we'll talk about the real world 2012 Japanese Grand Prix. The 15th round of the season was held at Suzuka for the Japanese Grand Prix, and there was big driver news coming into the race surrounding McLaren and Mercedes. It was announced that Lewis Hamilton would leave McLaren, the team he'd been with since he was 13, to take a seat at Mercedes alongside Nico Rosberg. This would mean that Michael Schumacher, who came into the race with a 10-place grid penalty after his collision with Verne in Singapore, would retire for the second time, while Sergio Perez announced he would leave Sauber and replace Hamilton at McLaren. Many commenters said that Hamilton moving to Mercedes was a terrible move. I wonder what happened for him there.
You're showing good pace, keep it up.
The opening practice session would see McLaren lead the way, Button topping the times ahead of Hamilton, with Webber in third and Rosberg, who would stop on circuit, taking fourth. Championship leader Alonso could only manage 11th, while Vettel could only manage 17th, both of them struggling for pace. After a relatively incident-free first session, the second practice saw a number of incidents and spins. Di Resta crashed at Spoon early on, with Schumacher following suit a little later in the session. After a number of minor spins, Petrov's rear wing detached heading into turn 1, sending him heavily into the barriers, but he would walk away unscathed. Webber would top the times ahead of Hamilton and Vettel. The final session would also see some incident, Hamilton just avoiding a high-speed collision with Charles Pic, who was moving slowly on the racing line during an in-lap, while Hülkenberg ended the session in the barriers at the second Degner. Red Bull would end 1-2, Vettel ahead of Webber, while Massa would take third. McLaren and Alonso had disappointing sessions. Button would be 8th, with Alonso 11th and Hamilton then 13th. The first part of qualifying would see the usual sight of the new teams occupying the drop zone, joined by Bruno Senna, who had quite the Q1. He was first impeded by Jean-Eric Verne, leading to the Frenchman to receive a 3-place grid drop, and then, to compound his suffering, he was knocked out at the very end of Q1 after Schumacher left his laps incredibly late. There were no major shocks in the second part of qualifying, Massa once again dropping out in 11th, such was the way his 2012 had been going, though it had looked like he was going to make it through before abandoning his final lap. The final part of qualifying saw Lotus, McLaren and Red Bull opt for 2 timed laps. During the second of those laps, Kimi Raikkonen lost the car at Spoon, spinning and bringing out the yellow flags. The resulting requirement to slow down would mean that only Perez could feasibly improve as he was ahead of the incident. Vettel would take pole ahead of Webber, Red Bull's first front row lockout of the year, with Button in third. A gearbox penalty for the McLaren though would elevate Kobayashi into third, the best qualifying result for a Japanese driver at home.
Your times for Sector 3 are a little down, and 1 and 2 are well off the pace.
Vettel led from pole, but there was a myriad of incidents behind it. Kobayashi had started quicker than Webber and jumped the Australian into second, while further back, Raikkonen clipped Alonso's rear wheel after he was squeezed by the Spaniard, sending the Ferrari spinning across the track with a puncture and out of the race. The other Lotus of Grosjean was under pressure from the second Sauber of Perez, and found himself too focused on the Mexican, misjudging his braking into turn 2 and running into the back of Mark Webber. The Red Bull span across the field, leading to another incident between Senna and Rosberg as the Williams tried to pass the Mercedes on the inside while also avoiding the accident ahead, breaking his front wing. And it was another first lap incident for Romain Grosjean in 2012. The safety car was immediately deployed while the debris was cleared, but would only be on track until the end of lap 3. Vettel scampered away from Kobayashi while the other Sauber of Perez attempted to move on Raikkonen around the outside of turn 1. Perez would run off track and fall behind Hamilton, though it would not take long for Perez to get back past the McLaren, diving up the inside of the Brit at the hairpin. Grosjean would receive a stop-go penalty for causing the collision at turn 1, the 7th opening lap collision the Frenchman was involved in 2012. Bruno Senna would also receive a similar penalty for his contact with Rosberg further back in the field at turn 1. Pit stops would come and go. Vettel retained the lead ahead of Kobayashi and Button, the order staying the same from prior to the pit stops. Perez would fall back behind Hamilton after his stop and an attempt to replicate his move from earlier in the race.
We've dropped down to third, we are now third.
Perez would, however, overcook the move, sliding the car around into the gravel and having to retire. It'd be Vettel who'd take the 24th win of his career, the second Grand Slam of his career, and the first time anyone had won back-to-back races in 2012. Massa would come home in second, ending the longest streak without a podium for a Ferrari driver, while Kobayashi would take third, the last time a Sauber would take a podium until a certain popular German driver took a podium at the 2025 British Grand Prix. What can we hope for here at Suzuka? It's another one of those circuits I really can't seem to get a rhythm around, and it'll be the first of a few in a row that are going to struggle. If practice is anything to go by, I may even struggle to get ahead of anyone on the grid, especially if the rain that is forecast actually happens. So the aim's going to have to be really low, despite our incredible result in Singapore. I think I've got to try and keep it off the back row. That'll be enough for me, really, I think, by the end of this one. So let's aim for 22nd place, try and keep it off the back row, maybe see if we can just about jump our good friend and teammate, Pedro de la Rosa, as well.
The guys have fitted a new aero package. You should see a small improvement in downforce. We don't think you'll have any trouble getting into the next session, so don't push too hard.
In the garage then, in a wet qualifying session here at Suzuka, the team are aiming for 12th, primarily down to the ridiculous result in Singapore, so they're happy to see us get through. They think we should do it. Practice didn't really provide any representative running. I set some times doing some R&D stuff in interconditions, and I think it dried out, so not really a huge amount to read there, but we weren't massively quick. So I personally still think it'll be a struggle to get out of first qualifying. But let's get out on track in the wet weather, see what we can do at Suzuka. So let's look at our fastest lap in Q1 in the rain here in Japan. As you can see, we're already at the back of the grid. Heading into first turn, this double right-hander at the start, we get really out wide and have to push early on the accelerator to try and get anything out of turn 2. Into the S's, really taking it steady, possibly too over-cautious. Still running the curbs, which is probably a silly thing to do in these conditions, but anything to try and pull a little bit of time back. Head up through Dunlop at the top of the hill, again a little wide, having to just back off to make sure that the car doesn't rotate as we head down towards the Degners. We're 1/10 of a second off our best time, but 2 seconds off Ricciardo, who is just outside the elimination zone as we head towards the hairpin. Heavy on the brakes here, and we try our best to brake early enough to keep it tight on the inside, but we still run wide, running through the hairpin, not getting our angles right there at all. Through this long right hander towards Spoon curve, it's just flat on the power and just making sure we don't lose the rear. But as we get into Spoon again, maybe a bit too overcautious, trying to keep away from the curbs on the outside, but we'll ride the curbs through the exit just to try and give us a bit more of a slingshot, heading up towards 130R. Again, just flat out, just waiting and waiting and waiting, but we're a tenth of a second up at the end of the second sector though, some 3.6 off getting at Q1 as we head into the Casio Triangle. Really heavy on the brakes, possibly again too overcautious. We ride the curves in an effort to try and get some time back. But as we cross the line, we still don't get off the back of the grid.
24th place, back row the grid. This has been a day to forget. That's 24th on the grid, last place.
Back down to earth with an absolute crash. Last place for the second time in a few rounds. Sector 1, I can never really get time in, and by the time I get around the rest of the lap, I'm struggling. Might have been a bit better in the dry, but couldn't really get it in the wet. We're out last behind our teammate De La Rosa, behind also Petrov, Peak, Kovalainen, Glock, and then the normal sort of other cars we'd expect. Daniel Ricciardo just about making it through. But as you can see, Glock was 4.2 seconds off top. We were 5 odd seconds. It's going to be quite the uphill battle at Suzuka in the race. But let's get over there and see if we can move forward better than we did the last time we qualified 24th. Here we are then in the garage for the Japanese Grand Prix at Suzuka. We start P24 for the second time in 3 races, Monza being the other one, which wasn't particularly a great race, but at least here it's dry and is intending to be dry for the entire race. It was a wet qualifying session, didn't really help. Hopefully we can be a little bit quicker in the dry, but let's take a look at the grid order and then we'll take a little wander through what we're going to hope for. Alonso took pole back at the front after a few races away. Hamilton in second, Webber in third, so the top 3 in the championship, top 3 on track. Romain Grosjean took a great 4th place. And Maldonado, Button, Kobayashi, Perez, Hulkenberg and Di Resta getting both Force Indias into the top 10 in a wet session ahead of Rosberg, Massa, Schumacher and Vettel, all of whom look to have had a pretty bad qualifying session. Ricciardo in 15th, our rival, just ahead of Kimi Räikkönen, another one who'd had a bad session with Senna in 17th. Then is Jean-Eric Vergne, Glock, Kovalainen, Peak, Petrov, De La Rosa, and there we are, right at the very back. Suzuka, not a circuit I'm particularly great around. I think I said that during qualifying as well. But hopefully we'll be better at it in the dry. It's not a huge run down to turn 1, but through the S's I feel the AI are going to get really stuck up behind each other. I can't imagine we're going to have another race like we did in Singapore. So don't expect a super shock podium. Could do with beating Daniel Ricciardo, really, to go 2-1 up in that rivalry, especially with Korea and India to come, which are even worse locations for me. But is what it is, I guess. Team 117th. I want to just beat the other new team cars, so I'm going to go P19, our kind of traditional spot. But it's not easy to overtake here in Japan, apart from the run up to 130R. Even getting a move into turn 1, quite tricky. So if we can make some gains early on and keep it clean, maybe we can get in front and just sort of be the cork in the bottle. Hopefully. That's the hope. Anyway, let's get to the grid for the 2012 Japanese Grand Prix. Alonso, Hamilton, Webber there right at the front. There's Ricciardo. A few places ahead. There's De La Rosa. And then we're next to him. Need a good start here. To get a good start here. 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, and 5. And away we go at Suzuka. Don't get too bogged down at the start. Already fanning out across the circuit, but it's going to be tricky into turn 1. Really can't have a big move. Somebody's gone off, I think, or run wide. They're all getting, look at them, all getting concertinaed up in the S's. Peak bullies his way past. We're on the grass as we try and defend from Heikki Kovalainen and avoid the back of the Marussia. Ricciardo's just ahead of Petrov up ahead. A couple of spots as we head up through Dunlop, and we had a little bit of space to play with there, so we can dive to the outside of Peak, try and cut under Petrov at the Degner's, but we'll get around the outside at Degner 2. And we've at least got past all the other back markers. I think there's somebody else back there as well as we dive bomb into the hairpin to get past our rival Ricciardo. P17, sorry, somebody from further up the order went off wide, I think, early on. Not sure who it was, but we'll find out in a moment, I'm sure. As immediately the queue ahead is starting to pull away. As we head up towards 130R, Ricciardo is there. We'll head into Casio. We run a little wide there, but okay, just hop across the curb in, and we're still running in the right direction. And P17 at the end of lap 1, but Ricciardo immediately making a move to the outside down to turn 1. It wasn't big enough for the Toro Rosso, so he just banked the front wing off the front wheel. Wide at Dunlop. That'll allow Ricciardo through. I think that'll be him gone. Do seem to be lacking pace here. Dive bomb at the hairpin this time around. Try and stay with the Toro Rosso for as long as we can, but you can see it's pace advantage as we head up towards Spoon. At least we're ahead of our fellow back markers coming into lap 3. Just got to try and stay there. Dunlop has been a bit of a problem the first couple of laps. Got to be a bit more careful through there. Trying to carry as much speed as possible. Spoon now, that's going to surely allow Petrov an opportunity. No, he's too far back, luckily for me, but there's definitely a gap forming to, I think, Charles Peak in 20th. Get on the curve at Spoon and go sideways. Again, Petrov a bit further back, so we're able to just remain in front of the Caterham. You've got to be careful of that. Get wide into Dunlop again, and this time Petrov's through.
We're slightly down on where we expected to finish. Keep pushing.
The inside at the second Dagner.
Careful, we need clean overtake, so we'll face a penalty.
Came back onto the track and bounced into us. Already pulled back away from Petrov a little bit, which is good. Ricciardo on his own. And now everybody else, barring the sort of lead few, seem to be kind of clumped together in little groups. Really use a Ricciardo retirement just for our own battle.
Be aware, we think the car behind is trying to save fuel.
The Williams of Bruno Senna that's back there. He's only ahead of the last two, so he's currently in 22nd place. Might have been him that got shoveled wide. It might have been one of the Caterhams and he just got caught up somewhere else, but doesn't seem to be making an impression on the cars in front. For us, because I feel like the Williams would easily eat up the gap between us and go straight past and away, much like Ricciardo does.
You and the car behind, just 2 seconds.
Looks like Della Rosa's fallen out of the little pack behind us and out the back on his own. I don't think he's pitted in, else we would have had the call to say he's come in. I think he's made a mistake or been the victim of a bit of a nudge.
Waved yellow close in sector 3.
Yellow flags up ahead.
Conditions apply. Watch out for debris.
Wide in Spoon, trying to pay attention to the mini-map as well. Yellow flag's still there. Somebody has stopped. Somebody is out. It's Sebastian Vettel. The reigning champion is out, and surely that's his title defence over and done with.
Green flags in sector 3. The debris has been cleared.
The Red Bull is out. Is he out? Is he still going? No, he might actually still be going. I think, yeah, he's in the pits. No, he is out. He is definitely out. Jean-Eric Verne falls down, so maybe there's been an incident with Jev. He'll get out in front of us quite easily. But we're up to P16. Wait, somebody else is out as well then. We're up to P16. What's happened up front, and who has gone? So, Pasta Maldonado, the other person to drop out of this Grand Prix. So I think Pasta and Seb have had a little bit of a coming together. We now run P16. Not a huge amount behind Jean-Eric Verne, who I think also may have got caught up in that. That's a bit for repairs, but quick enough to disappear away from us immediately.
We've had a look and we think Verne is due to pit within the next 5 laps.
Spin out the hairpin.
Keep on him, he might make a
Let's
mistake.
Petrov through. Just got on the power too early then. Car went round.
We're ready for you. Box in this lap.
I've actually lost time on Petrov during that lap.
You're leading Pig by 5 seconds. There's a 5-second gap to Pig.
Head into the pits this time round. There's all Vitaly Petrov. Petrov will head out. We'll get on the primes.
Go. Watch out for traffic
stay
as
out.
you rejoin the track. You have no more scheduled pit stops, so look after your tyres.
And get these to the end and see if we can catch back up to Petrov.
The car behind is running on the option tyre. They have the advantage.
Jensen Button is out of this one. It's gained us another spot. Kovalainen closing in on us.
There's a group of slower cars just ahead of you.
Desperately close back in on Petrov, but that Caterham seems to just have a bit more pace than we do, although we have gained on him. Here comes Kovalainen into turn 1. Can we outbrake the Finn? Can at least hold it around the outside. Hamilton's just past Senna. Just really fallen off the back of us, or has he? Not massively. It's Alonso that's behind us.
Blue flag conditions. Let the car immediately behind through. You're not racing him.
The hairpin. We'll move to the inside. So seemingly, though, doesn't have the pace to just go round us. Clips the front of the car. Come on, Fernando. I think he's lost his entire front wing. I think we've just cost the championship leader a win here.
He's running on full revs. He's trying to close the gap.
He's now lost the back of Petrov, trying to let him through.
Okay, we need you to make way for the car behind. You have a 2-second gap to the car behind. We need to keep it clean so he doesn't get a chance to overtake.
So yeah, just trying to keep out the way, and the AI just don't want to go. Hamilton now leads. I think Alonso's about to pit. involved in the lead battle inadvertently there.
You need to let the car behind you past. He's not racing you for position.
Weber next. The way out Spoon. And also not let Bruno Senna through, which we manage. Let's get DRS from
the car
Weber.
Behind is lapping faster than us by around a second per lap.
Absolutely backed off. I wonder if he's got somebody. He doesn't. Can't see anybody behind him. Petrov is unfortunately now gone. We'll get beaten by a Caterham. We should still finish above our objective.
Blue flag conditions. Let the car immediately behind through. You're not racing him.
Senna gets right in the way of Romain Grosjean there. To let him through out of the hairpin, as long as the Lotus is quick. Inside, Romain goes through. I saw a Sauber there as well. I did. It's Kamui Kobayashi. All the run up to 130R. Too cautious through the S's. Senna had a think about it, but we hold him off once more. That's DRS heading in to the start-finish straight, but doesn't seem to be able to get close enough. Seems to plateau a little bit. We do have new aero upgrades, new front wing. Maybe that's helping our straight line a little bit. It's getting lapped has really cost us to Petrov. I think we'd probably still be well in front of the Russian if it wasn't for that little spin up at the hairpin. As you can see, Bruno Senna just can't get close enough. Gonna have to go into rich mix this time though. No, just not enough to close up. A bit wide through turn one, almost given an opportunity. Hold him off one more time. We only have one more attempt up into turn one. Have a go somewhere else in the lap, but normally isn't close enough. About to get lapped.
Okay, we need you to make way for the car behind.
Hulkenberg can take a nice jump towards us in the point standings here.
Okay, you should see DRS back online now. We fixed the problem.
Yeah, we'll get past us.
You need to
On
let
the way
the
up to
car behind you
130R.
past. He's not racing you for position.
Back it off a little bit, stay right to the inside. Through goes Hulkenberg. Perez next. We'll get DRS as we head on to our final lap of the race. We will. Just have to stay out the way of Sergio Perez.
Position, so let's make sure to keep it clean and bring the car home safely.
He's lost a bunch of spots with everybody lapping him. There's Kimi Räikkönen.
A few seconds a lap to you. He's dropping back.
Keep out of the Finn's way. There he goes. And I think that might be Fernando Alonso.
Blue flag condition.
I know, it's Felipe Massa.
You're not racing him.
Inside, or the outside, sorry, not there's Alonso down in 9th. After we sort of collected him. Try and run wide Dagner, we do, then it's to Resta's turn. And then Rosberg and Schumacher. Try and stay out of the Mercedes way. He's actually let Schumacher attack his teammate. Really could do those with those two going by. Schumacher does. Rosberg does not, but should do in a moment. Hamilton has already taken victory here. Really big for the championship there. It's kind of our fault, but never mind. We need Rosberg to go past and to keep Senna away.
Okay, we need you to make
try and back off for Rosberg, and it doesn't work. So I think we're just going to stay ahead of him to the line. Decent race pace after a terrible qualifying.
Car ahead has a puncture.
We'll cross the line, P16 at Suzuka. Sixteenth place in the end. Not too shabby after starting right at the back. And should have really beaten Vitaly Petrov. I think we had the pace to beat him as well, but silly little mistake cost us in the end with him. At the top end of things though, Lewis Hamilton wins ahead of Mark Webber. Romain Grosjean takes 3rd. Big for the championship that we may have cost Fernando Alonso a certain victory. Kobayashi in 4th, Hülkenberg 5th, Perez and Räikkönen, Massa. Alonso did get points, but only 9th, I think, after having to switch a new front wing. And then Paul di Resta takes the final point. Schumacher's 11th ahead of Nico Rosberg. We kind of got involved in that battle as well, trying to move out their way. Ricciardo takes 13th, our rival. Then it's Vern, Petrov. There we are. P16 ahead of Senna. Kovalainen, Glock, Peak, Della Rosa. Button, Vettel and Maldonado are out, which are going to have ramifications for the top end of the table and the top 10. Let's take a look at what those ramifications are. Lewis Hamilton now leads the driver standings by 11 points ahead of Fernando Alonso. Big swing, thanks to Alonso catching the back of me as I was driving along. Mark Webber, 38 points back. He's still in the hunt. Jenson Button is as well mathematically, along with Sebastian Vettel, but theoretically, you'd say, with the amount of races left and the way that everybody's scoring, those two are probably out. So Sebastian Vettel is unlikely to defend his title. Rosberg remains 6th ahead of Grosjean, who jumps Räikkönen. Maldonado holds 9th ahead of Felipe Massa. Kobayashi is 11th. And then it's Perez, Schumacher. We hold station in 14th, but the gap has been slashed. It is now 7 points to Nico Hülkenberg. Ricciardo still at 21 behind us in 16th, and it's Vern, Paul di Resta and Bruno Senna. Kovalainen, Petrov, Peak, Della Rosa, Glock and Carter Kayan with 8 points so far. And in the Constructors, McLaren lead the way by 79 points over Red Bull, with Ferrari just a little ways further back. Lotus comfortably 4th, but with Mercedes keeping them fairly honest. Sauber break the 100-point barrier to move 6th ahead of Williams. We stay 8th, but we're now just 1 point ahead of Force India and 11 clear of Force India. 11 clear of Toro Rosso. Caterham remain ahead of Marussia, just based on better results, and that was Japan. Always going to be difficult to follow up the absolute madness that was Singapore and the massively unlikely but very welcome 2nd place that we took there. Qualifying was a bit of a bust starting last, but actually race pace wasn't too bad. We made some gains at this first lap, and we were comfortably quicker than Vitaly Petrov. And then we made a little bit of a mistake at the hairpin. That cost us a spot, and we were never quite able to get it back. We got close, and then started getting hit with faster traffic, which cost us huge amounts of time as we had to back off to let them through. But P16, we beat a Williams, and we beat most of the other backmarker cars, so we're back to where we should be in another race with no penalties. Wasn't quite there in Singapore. We did get a penalty for crossing the white line on pit exit, but you know, no penalties for collisions at least. It's only our third penalty-free race since round 7 way back at Valencia, such has been the chaos of the second half of this season so far. But that was a pretty decent race. One small mistake that cost us a spot, but nothing too bad. So back on some form of good form, I guess, is the best way to put it. Hopefully that can continue, but the next two, in Korea and India, are circuits I really do not like to drive. So we might be back on the struggle bus there, but hopefully we can take the confidence of the last two, albeit only one of them got a great result, and that was through carnage. But still, it's still a confidence boost as we head into the final few rounds of this season, rapidly closing on the end of HRT's existence and the end of our one and only season with the Spanish outfit. But at least we're in the hunt for an 8th place, and we've still got a fight on our hands with Force India and Toro Rosso. Thank you so much for watching. Like, share, comment, subscribe, all the good stuff. You know the drill by now. I shall see you for the next one in Korea. Bye for now.